We are good.
It says live.
It says live. Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome back to CHAS and Friends. This is episode number 14, and I am joined by the always amazing Josephine from Fina Reads. I apologize, Josephina.
Both.
Yeah. So okay. So I am so excited to have her on the channel today, and we've been trying to make this work for a little while now. So we finally made it happen. Um, I'm gonna I'm gonna turn it over to Fina for a few minutes here, just to tell us a little bit about her channel and what you can expect from her, and then you know the drill. We just kind of talk and chat and have fun. So take it away.
A few minutes. Now I'm worried what I should tell about myself. Like, usually I don't need that long for an intro.
Well, however long you need, the floor is yours.
No pressure. Hi, everyone. I'm Fina or Josephine or Josefine, whatever is easiest to say for you. My channel is Fina Reads, where I mostly talk about fantasy and sci-fi books, occasionally some Stephen King or other thriller or romance, or actually everything in between, because I read across the board. My main videos are ramble videos because I like to talk about books. And when I say rambling, like, you get what's advertised. I really do. I usually, when I create my videos, they're half an hour or longer, and it takes me like up to 2 hours to get them to a 20 minutes or less type of thing. So there's a lot going on. Anyway, she rambles on. There you go. Yeah, I'm also a judge at SpaceFig or SPSFC2, which is the self-published science fiction contest that just started. And yeah, I'm super excited to be here. And as Chaz said, we have Chaz there. We've been trying this for a while. I'm super excited.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm very excited to have you, and y'all need to make sure that you subscribe to Fina's channel if you have not already. She's awesome. I've been a fan of hers for quite a while now. I've lost track of how long it's been, but I've been following you for a while. And some of your favorite videos of mine are your ramble videos. So rambling is a good thing. I enjoy listening.
As long as you get to a point eventually, that's.
Yeah, and you always do.
I try.
Yeah,
I try.
yeah, yeah.
There's a lot of editing involved, so
I'm sure
to
there
get to
is.
the point.
But believe me, I know all about that. I have some videos. There was one video, I forget which one it was. I think it might have been my Sandman TV series review. I think that video ended up being an hour long, and I had to edit it down. I think I finally got it down to like 25 or 27 minutes, and
That's an achievement.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All my videos tend to be very rambly before I cut them down, and then it's like, okay, Chaz, we need to make this a little bit more succinct. And
Yeah.
so
Do you prepare when you start recording? Like, do you have notes? Like, these are the things in that order that I record? Okay, see,
I
I don't do that. That's why I ramble.
oh, okay, yeah. Well, and it must not work because I still ramble. So
Okay, then I'm not putting that extra effort in. If
right.
it really doesn't work, then I'm not even bothering.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. I do kind of like a basic outline, so it leaves me a lot of room to ramble.
Yeah. Well, I do it. I have to say, I do it for reviews. Although I have to say, I haven't filmed a review in a while because it's just that they take a lot more time with the prep work
They
and
do.
actually writing your thoughts down, the things you want to say. And I kind of have a good structure where I talk about generally and then pro con and who it is good for, world building, like some
Mhm.
some things. And then I sit a while to put my thoughts on paper and make them somewhat cohesive. But yeah, the rambling videos, no. That's just okay. These are the books I read, one, two, three, and those are in that order you talk about them. That's all the prep they get. So.
I get that. I get that. And there's so many books that you read to be able to review them all. It's just it could take forever
Yeah.
too. So
Well, and then I think it's kind of repetitive because I go pretty in depth in my rambling videos already.
mhm.
And then I always feel like, well, I said everything already. So why should I do another 15 minutes, even more ramblier video about something that I already said in two other videos? So it's like, just watch multiple reviews in one video, you get, more for the price of one. How do you say that? Four for the price of one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why for some of the books that I started that I read, I started doing book review blasts where I just talk about
Yeah.
4 different. It's similar to your rambling videos,
Yeah.
so yeah,
More structured.
more structured. Well,
Yours
I don't know
mine.
some. Well, I've only done 2 book review blasts so far, but I don't know if I would say they're more structured or not. So
I like them. Let's put it that way. Those
well,
2 videos, I watch them
good.
both. I mean, I watch nearly all of your videos, but I really like those. I think it makes a lot of, because the challenge is, right, when you have a busy life, which we all have, there's so many amazing YouTubers out there that all
There are.
produce so much content. My watch later list is like 400, 500 videos long, and I
Oh,
really want to
mine
watch
too.
them. And I do. Like, sometimes I comment on videos that are 3, 4 months old. It's like, no,
Mhm.
I watch your stuff. So having something that is a bit more, concise is really nice for busy people. I know that's bad
Yeah,
because you want to support everyone, but sometimes you just
yeah.
can't.
Yeah, and it is hard to support everyone. It really is. Yeah, but my watch later list is so long too. And I don't just have booktube channels on there either. I have other channels as well that I follow. So it's like, well,
Yeah.
today's a YouTube day. I'm just gonna binge YouTube and
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
getting any reading done because I'm gonna binge YouTube.
Yeah. It's always like throwing the dice. Okay, am I watching YouTube now or booktube, or am I reading a book?
Yeah. Yep, exactly.
The
I know
choices
it.
you have to make in life. Yeah.
The book review blasts technically aren't my idea. I got it from Nikki Hawks, who does the book review blitz videos.
Okay.
So it's same idea. I just called mine blast instead of blitz because I didn't want to just outright copy her. I told her I was doing it too. I'm like, I'm stealing your idea, but I'll rename it. So
Oh, that's okay. I think that's on booktube in general. You have a lot of things that just a lot of people are doing, and I think that's fine. Like,
yeah,
yeah.
I think so too. I think so too. I was waiting to see if when I did that most recent video where I did the speed dating,
Hmm.
and because the Green Rider was on there, and I'm like, oh no, Fina's gonna kill me because I didn't pick Green Rider.
That is probably one of the ones that I have on my watch later list that I haven't. Now I have to go look. Hang on.
And that's totally fine, no big deal. But I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna hear about that. Wait, you didn't pick Green Rider? Yeah,
Wait, which
yeah.
one is it? I'll find
Uh,
it later. But yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, speed dating. Here we go.
Speed
Yeah, I
dating
have
my
that on
red
my.
books. Yep.
Yeah, I have that on my watch later. I see it. Yep.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's nice to experience things outside of the norm on BookTube, like other than book reviews and stuff like that, and book tags. It's and those are all fun too. I think some of my favorite videos to do are book reviews, but it's nice to branch out and try some different things and
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I have to say
everything.
my favorite is when I can talk with others. Like, I'm
Yes,
really becoming a fan of live shows or
mine
even
too.
pre-recorded, I don't care. But as soon as I can talk with someone about a book that we both or in a bigger group read, that's my favorite. One, live shows you don't have to edit them.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That can be a good and a bad thing,
Very
depending
true.
on,
Yeah, very true.
because sometimes I'll be rewatching one of my live streams. And I'm like, oh wow, I should have. I don't know what I was doing there.
You went on a tangent there, man.
Yeah, right. But it's fun. It's authentic too, because you're just saying whatever you say and it
Yeah,
comes out.
you'll live
So
with the consequences.
yeah.
Just have to roll with it now. But yeah, no, but I like that anything interactive. Really, I'm really anything that we can do together. Like I did a TBR swap with Ian, where he recorded a short video for my video and the other way around.
Uh-huh.
Or the book box that you were a part of, or just us talking now, some random vlogs for the Green Writer Read Along. We're trying to do a live once a month.
Nice.
The diversity stuff that I'm doing, like all of those things are my favorite.
Yeah, mine too. I really like the collaborations a lot.
Yeah.
JR is here. Hello, hello.
He has a really cool book cover.
He does. He has a very cool book cover. Yeah. He and I are we're doing we've been doing these Dresden streams. So he's hosting another one on Monday night, and talk some more Dresden, which is cool because I do see Dresden pop up here and there on BookTube, but not as much as I kind of expected to see. It's a somewhat popular series, but not a lot of people talk about it, and I love Dresden. So
there was a time, so like you're right, like especially lately people haven't talked about, maybe they're because they're done at the moment, but I know that Alex Nieves talked a lot about Dresden. Alan talked a lot about Dresden. Didn't Jimmy too? He did just a read through. I don't know. I might make this up, but there were a couple of people that were reading that and we're talking about it. But it has been quiet lately.
Yeah, it has been. Yeah, so JR is doing kind of a resurgence for it because he's on his. I think he's on his third read through of the series.
Oh wow!
And
those are not. I mean, what is it? 17 books now?
Yeah, 17 books. They're pretty quick. They're pretty quick reads. I just finished reading one yesterday. It had taken me about 3 days to read. They're really quick. So, but yeah, 17 books plus a new novella that Jim Butcher just released. So, yep. Alex will be with us too. Yep, he's joining up on the stream, so that'll be fun.
Yeah,
I haven't been on a live stream with Alex Nieves yet, so that'll be awesome. But
he's not a rambler.
No, that's true. Yeah, he's very succinct and to the point, which is good, you know. And I don't know how much editing he does. What's that?
You can't always have ramblers. That's at one point it takes too long.
Exactly.
Hey, Sarah.
Hello, Sarah. How are you? Welcome.
Yeah, Dresden is definitely one of those books that I want to read. What I was thinking, and I hope I find some time later this year for that, because there are a lot of books that are similar. So I wanted to read Dresden and then a couple of others, and then have like a comparison video of those, like old, like detective style urban fantasy books, and compare them with each other. And I have 4 or 5 on my list. They're all short. I mean, none of them are really long books, so I should be able to read those all in a month and then make a comparison. I'm really excited to see how they all differ or are not. You know, I hope they differ. I hope it's not all the same.
Yeah, hopefully not. I'm sure that there's series out there that copy quite a bit from Dresden, because but I that sounds like a lot of fun. I'm excited to see that video.
Yeah. I'm excited to read all of those, because Sandman Slim is actually the first one that I saw, because sometimes I go down a rabbit hole on Amazon or wherever I look at books, and I saw the Sandman Slim, like the synopsis, and I was like, that sounds really fun, and I'm not getting it together right now. It has been too long, but something that comes back out of, like, a demon comes back out of hell and then lives with people. And hi, Andrew. We're talking about him. His ears must have been ringing. But the premise sounded just really good. Yeah. And then I heard everybody talk about Dresden, and then I saw all these books that had kind of like a similar detective urban fantasy type of theme, and I was like, okay, I need to collect them all and read them and make a comparison.
Okay, that's cool.
Oh, interesting.
Iron Druid is influenced by it. Okay.
Well, Iron Druid is Iron Druid an urban fantasy though? I thought that was more like an epic.
I thought it was more epic fantasy too. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah. Wait, you better.
All good, Andrew. Nothing bad.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I mean, how could there be anything bad to say about Andrew? I mean, really,
Well, he DNF'd Green Writer, so
Well, okay.
No, I'm
Yeah,
just kidding.
yeah, and I haven't read it yet, so I can't say either
No,
way.
it's
But
okay. All good, all good.
yeah.
Oh, Andrew is urban. Okay.
Oh, okay, good to know. Yeah,
Then
yeah.
that name is very misleading.
Okay, yeah, yeah. It really is. So it's
Yep.
Alex Bruce. Okay, all right, cool.
No, don't be, Andrew. I'm just messing with you. It's all good.
Oh, that's
I'm
awesome.
glad you even tried it. Like that already had my heart happy that you even tried. And I know Nico has my books now, right? You gave them to Nico. I don't even know, has he read it? I need to ping him and ask.
Yeah, yeah. I have to find out if he's done that yet.
If not, CHAS, you can start with him.
What's that?
You can start with Nico then to read Green Rider.
Oh
I have to
yeah.
stop doing that. At one point, I have to stop talking about this series.
Hey, you know what? That happens though. I mean, when you love a series that much, you can't help but talk about it. You know, I'm always talking about Neil Gaiman and like Sandman and stuff like that, and people are probably so tired of me hearing about it. I'm just waiting for somebody to hire out a hitman to come shoot me the next time I talk about Ocean at the End of the Lane. So, you know, it's one of those things. You talk about the books you love. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, the thing is, you talk about Neil Gaiman so much that my credit card is going probably to hire hitmen because of that. Because I bought all the Sandman graphic novels
Oh wow.
because of your Sandman video, and I was like, okay,
Yeah,
I really want to watch the TV show, but I want to read at least the first graphic novel first. So yeah,
yeah.
I went on a hunt and got those.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, and that's perfect because it covers uh the TV series covers the first two graphic
Oh,
novels
perfect. Yeah,
basically. So yeah, it's
perfect.
and they're quick reads. So
Yeah, that's what I
yeah.
thought. I mean, I'm not a big graphic novel fan, but I had like a few that I really enjoyed, and
Mhm.
the art in the Sandman ones is amazing. I'm so
Oh
blown
yeah.
away by how all the characters look like and how everything. Oh, yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah, absolutely. It is really good work. What's
Hey,
up?
Ersky.
Hello. How's it going, Ersy? Good to see you. Well, Andrew, that's okay. I forgive you. I know. I remember seeing that actually, and I'm like,
There
it's
was a
okay.
reason for that, and
Yeah,
that's I think, fair.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I had
and
this similar situation, Andrew. You know, it's funny because I never had a situation where I was so triggered that I had to DNF a book because usually I'm not triggered that easily. I read Hamnet this month, and there was a scene halfway through where that was too close to home. Okay,
mm,
I need to close and move it away. Otherwise, I don't know what's going to happen. It was a good book. I mean, it was a fun read. I really liked some of the characters, but it was just something where it's like, nope. So I completely understand why Andrew had to put it down. And sometimes,
oh, absolutely. I've had to do that with books too. Yeah, sometimes it just hits too hard, and you just can't continue.
yeah,
The Witcher, my wife bought me The Witcher 3,
yeah.
and then okay, okay, yeah, cool.
Well, Andrew, with the amount of books you read, I'm surprised that that you DNF so little. Actually, that is, yeah. Which are
How long is it? He might be talking about Ocean. If he is, it's under 200 pages.
it's a really quick read.
But I don't know if that's the one he's talking about. So, but yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Which
yeah.
one I have to continue. I read them in German a while ago, parts of it, not the entire series.
Okay.
And then I really don't like the current covers, which is why I have never picked it up. But now they are relaunching some, and I kind of like it.
I know. I saw some of those new covers, and I'm like, I only have them on ebook, and I'm like, I love a good cover, so I'm kind of like, part of me is going, oh, I need to own those, and part of me is going, no, you really don't. It's it's what I want versus what I need. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
no.
you see the masses there. You see that empty bookshelf there that will be filled. I mean,
Yep.
about need versus really required. Which one would you want though? Do you want the new paperback or the new hardback?
If I did get them physically, I would go for the hardback.
Oh, they are pretty.
Yeah, the hardbacks are just absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
But right now, I think I have decided not to get them. Maybe I will someday in the future, but right now I'm focused on getting the new special edition of Dune Messiah and Children of Dune.
Already ordered. Already
Yeah,
ordered.
those are such gorgeous covers, and I decided I'm definitely gonna grab those because I had the first special edition with the orange cover, and it's
Yeah.
just oh,
Oh my, they're stunning. They're
chef's kiss is just
yeah.
so gorgeous. So I'm excited about those.
Yeah, I already pre-ordered those as well. Yeah, that's exactly how I feel with Hamnet because I really liked the character. I mean, it was not my favorite book ever, but I really liked the story at that point. I was like, well, nope. Just
Exactly. Hey, Jonathan, how are you? Glutton for punishment. Okay, nice. I like that.
to each their own.
Yeah, I don't know if I DNF'd one that was 200 pages. I might have. It just depends. Like I'm reading Pyramids right now, which is one of the Discworld books.
Yeah.
And I've been really struggling with it. I love some Discworld books. I really enjoyed Guards. Man, the whole Guards series is just the City Watch series is really good. But this one is it's one of his one-off books, and it was early in the Discworld series, and I'm just like,
well, then just DNF it. If it's not relevant to continue with the story.
I'm gonna try and get through it. I'm not at the point yet where I want to DNF it, but I'm allowing myself the option.
Yeah. It is tricky, right? I mean, DNFing is nothing that I do easy either. Usually I give it like 100 pages, and then, you know, if it's really not going, I might give it another 20, 30, and then if it's still not going, I'd give it another 20. I was like, it has to turn around eventually, right? But yeah, I had enough books where I'm like, I wish I would have DNF'd it.
Yeah, I felt that way with and this is a booktube darling, so everybody's gonna shoot me. I felt that way with Rage of Dragons. I wish I had DNF'd it because I ended up not liking it at all. But yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah.
That's a
especially
good way to it is.
There are certain series that I will probably never pick up because I'm just worried that I'm not going to vibe with them based on what I know, like Wheel of Time.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, I ended up DNFing that series temporarily. I will say it's a temporary DNF for now. I may go back to it a few years down the road, but right now there's just other stuff I want to read. But yeah, absolutely. I might shelf a book for a while. Okay.
Yeah, I've done that with
I've done that too.
Called? With Wall of Storms recently, where I was like, you know, I like the concept of Dandelion Dynasty. I love Grace of Kings, but Wall of Storms, that was one of those. You know, I gave it 300 pages, 350 pages. I mean, it's and there was just the point where I was like, you know what, I'm just not. So let me put it aside, and eventually I want to get back to it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I did that with The Stand. I want to get back to it eventually, but right now I had to put it back on the shelf, and covers are super important too. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Your covers are great, JR. So you're right in there, man.
Well, and I like vampires, and I'm still looking, but I haven't started reading any. But I read what is the J. Christoph book, Empire of the Vampire. I didn't have that after 100 pages. I should have thing. Oh my goodness, that was.
I've heard a lot of mixed things.
I know it's a hype thing, but I was just like, nope. I was just laughing hysterically about the dialogue. Anyway, but then afterwards I was like, I need a good vampire book now. But I haven't picked anything up. But I have JR's book on my Kindle. I hope that.
I do too. Both of them. Yeah. Rage of. Oh, okay. So I'm not alone here.
Okay. See, you don't have that unpopular.
Scott and Andrew agree.
I think that's a fair thing, right? If you just don't vibe with that very moment, just put it aside for a little bit, and eventually you might feel better for it. Well, you know what I'm trying to say. Whatever. English. I don't know.
I totally get it. There have been very few books that I've actually DNF'd. I DNF'd Perdido Street Station. I DNF'd Neuromancer as well.
Okay, those are
which
books
is
that are high on my list. Jazz, what are you
yeah.
doing now?
I know, yeah, I'm a bad Chaz, you know, I DNF some really popular books, and you know, and I respect what they bring to the table. Perdido Street Station is super weird, and I do like weird, but it was just a little too out there for me. But I
Gotcha.
appreciate what it brings to the table. China Mievel's prose is wow. He's just got some really great prose. He really does.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah.
And it's a very different prose, but I like his style. So I am going to read other books by him, or at least
Okay.
try them. There's a book called The City in the City that I really want to try. And
Okay.
so, yeah, I'm excited about reading more of his books. And then Neuromancer did a whole lot for the sci-fi genre. I mean, that was where we got the term, you know, cyberspace and you know the stuff like stuff from the Matrix and stuff alluded to stuff that was in Neuromancer. I mean, it's foundational for sci-fi. It just didn't work for me. So
That's the problem with a lot of more classical sci-fi, right? A lot of people
mhm,
don't vibe with it because the writing and the way the stories are told is rather different than to what you get today.
mhm.
Like I love Foundation. The Foundation
Yes,
trilogy
I
is
do
one of
too.
my favorite, if not the, well, no, the Green Rider, but you know, it's very, very high up there, and it was my favorite last year. But I wouldn't recommend that for everyone. The writing and the way the story is told is so like it's something else. But that's what I loved about it, right?
Yeah, definitely. Well, and I've only read the first Foundation book, but I plan to read the other two in the trilogy at least. And I started the robot series like many years ago, and it didn't quite jive with me, but I'm going to give that another
Yeah.
try. So, because I know at some point they intersect,
Hmm.
so I'm excited to see how Asimov does that.
Yeah.
So,
So second foundation and forward foundation, foundation forward. I don't know which way around. Hang on. Foundation. Oh, sorry. Foundation and Empire. Forward foundation is a prelude. Foundation and Empire and second foundation are
mhm.
a lot wilder than the first foundation. So if you like the
Okay,
first foundation already, that was my least favorite out of the three.
okay.
Like he goes a really interesting direction.
Well,
Is
cool. I'm excited then because I did really like the first book.
yeah.
Yeah, it didn't blow me out of the water, but I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to that. Andrew says to do the stand on audio.
Yeah, that is one just because it's so long.
It is, yeah,
And
and
yeah,
that's what I did with it. I almost DNF'd it, but then somebody recommended the audio, so I did it that way,
see
and
that's
it was good.
yeah, that's also one that I'm never going to read. One, I'm not a like the whole slasher, not slasher horror. What is it called? Scare, jump scare
Mhm.
horror. No, I'm a
Yeah.
scared cat in that regards. And then that last scene, since I know what it is, because everybody said, "Oh, the last scene, the last scene." So I looked it up at one point. I was like, "Nope, I don't need that. Thank you very much."
Yeah, I don't, I know Stephen King was smoking something at the time he wrote that and wrote that last scene. I'm not sure what it was, but I don't want it, whatever it was, and
Yeah,
I could have done without that.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
like him though. Like there are a
I
lot of
do too.
books that he has. What's the
Oh
Destiny?
yeah,
Oh,
The Dark Tower is one of my favorites.
yeah.
If I put a book on hold, it's a death. Okay.
Okay,
Ah,
fair enough.
well, hey, yeah, fair enough. Like Andrew says here, embrace the DNF,
Yeah,
right?
I got a
Yeah.
lot better with it too over the last 2 years.
Yeah, I've been allowing myself to do that for sure. I did that just this year with Cloud Atlas. Like
Okay.
the movie is amazing. It's one of my favorite movies, but the book was just what for me personally it was awful.
That was one that was kind of not so, at least at my Barnes and Nobles, they didn't really sell it as a fantasy book. It was more in the
Mhm.
fiction area, and then I don't know, magical realism. I have no idea what
And
they
I think that's a better place for it actually. Yeah. It's not really it has some fantastical and sci-fi elements to it, but it's more of a general fiction, I would
Yeah.
say. Yeah.
And with those books, I struggle too. Like those books that are like for the general population, it's going to sound really bad right now, but those general population fantasy, that are not
Mhm.
really fantasy, I rarely vibe with those because they often tend to go into the literary direction, which I don't like.
Yes.
Like flowery prose, go away with that with me. I need straightforward and this done good. We're fine. I can't
I
do
can
overly flowery prose. Just doesn't. I can't. I'm too straightforward for that. So
I totally
yeah,
get that.
most of the time, books like this, no.
Yeah. I don't normally read a lot of literary fiction either, but and magical realism is kind of hit or miss for me, but
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, Boy's Life. Oh, such a great book.
Okay. Looking it
I
up.
I shout it from the rooftops. He he has a similar style to Stephen King, but he he's not a rabbit trail guy. He does not like overly dilute you with information and stuff like that. He's his storytelling and prose is awesome, at least for me. So
Where do I know Robert R. McCammon is the
yeah,
author?
Robert
Okay.
McCammon. Yeah,
Which is the favorite because the name totally rings a bell, and I'm looking on Amazon right now.
yeah, he's written several others. Swan Song.
That might be it. Yep, I'm seeing it
Yeah.
now. Yep, that's it.
So yeah, and I want to read that one as well. So
Okay, Boys Life goes on my wish list. I'm not buying it because I'm
okay,
on a book buying ban, and I bought 2 books already today, so there's the end to
yeah.
that. Ugh.
JR had asked up here, what's bad about Rage? Well, I don't know if we have time for. No, I'm kidding. No, it wasn't the most awful book I've ever read. Trust me, it wasn't horrible. It just I didn't really like the main character Tao. He was just way too one dimensional for me, and he didn't have really any facets to his character. He was just always angry, 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 which is fine. I get that, but that's where the rest of the book has to come up and give you some substance, and I didn't feel like it did. So, like,
Interesting.
okay,
Well,
yeah,
that's a good thing about books. Everybody has a different taste, and some people like it, some don't. That's totally.
exactly. Andrew asks, "Am I writing again?" I am. I do have a second book that's all ready to go. It's just I've got some beta readers looking at it right now, and I've got somebody doing some cover design work for me.
Nice.
Hasn't started it yet, but we're discussing the particulars. So I've got that book ready to go, and then I'm working actively on a couple more. One of which is going to be an origin story for my multiverse. So
So, are they related to Talendor's Guest?
they are. Yep,
Nice.
absolutely. In fact, the new full length novel I'm working on involves the Ink Master, which is one of the stories in the book, and then even though it's the other one is going to be the origin for my multiverse is going to be more of a novella, and it's related to Talendor's Guest, but only loosely because it's all tied to my multiverse. But
Gotcha.
yeah. So, but there's a lot of other things I'm playing with too that are connected to Talendor's Guest as well. Yeah,
Nice.
Talendor's Guest introduced a lot of ideas that I'm going to expand on further. So,
Awesome. Well,
yeah,
I'm excited. I got myself your book for my birthday
I
earlier
saw
this
that.
year, so
Yeah,
so I'm really excited to get to that. As I said, like the end of the year is kind of like I try to keep it as open as possible so I can do a lot of mood reading, and that your book is. And I'm not saying that because I'm here on the video or anything, but it truly is high on the list because it has a
yeah,
dragon on the freaking cover. Like, how can you not
right.
read it?
Well, I'm excited. I'll be excited to hear what you think.
I'll let you know. Don't worry.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I'm glad. Andrew's DNF's 3 books already this month. Good for you, man. That's awesome. Uh,
Ruthless. Yeah, I see.
Okay, Ursi
Yeah.
likes the flowery prose. Yeah,
It
it
depends, right?
does.
So flowery
Yeah,
prose, there are a lot of nuances. Like the darkness that comes before, I didn't mind it. Like it took me a little bit to get into it, but eventually I didn't mind it at all. Um, the other thing, the Jenny Wirtz book that I read, where I read the first one last week, that was a tough one to get through. But I don't know if
yeah.
I would call it flowery or just overly ambitious. The other one is here, this one, The Risen Kingdom. That's the second book of that. But the Risen Kingdom series,
Okay, yeah.
that the first one is, me and names. Alchemy of Masks and Mirrors is the first book. That has a light flowery prose, but it's fantastic. Like everybody who's reading it right now, Sarah is reading it at the moment too. Like we're in book 2, Leslie is reading it, and a couple of others, and we are all blown away by that story. So it really depends. It really depends.
Okay, yeah, I can respect that. Yeah, some prose that's really flowery doesn't work for me either, and some does. A lot of it depends on the rest of the story and how it flows together.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I get that. Being is supposed to be an escape. That's why I stayed. Yeah, I get that. I totally respect that. And that's mostly what I read too, is sci-fi fantasy. Some mystery and thrillers as well, but mostly sci-fi fantasy.
Horror often has, like, it depends on the horror, but horror often has like fantasy sci-fi elements, of course, in it too, right? So that's a really great, like, what is it, tangential horror? I don't know. But the best escape, like pure popcorn, is like romance type fiction stuff. Even if you're not romance, but fiction more, perfect.
Okay.
Or just escape and turn your head off.
Right, exactly. Well, that's awesome. So my book that's actually out is Talendor's Guest. And my book, and I can tell you the name of my book that's coming out eventually, sometime soon, The Nomad's Crucible.
That's amazing.
And then the rest is hush hush. Yeah, thanks. Hey, there's Theo. Welcome. Glad to see you, man. It's so good. Is that
that's Alchemy of Masks and Mirrors?
Alchemy of Masks and Mirrors. Okay, got it. Perfect.
That is one underrated book. I've never heard anyone talk about that.
Okay. Yeah, I never have either. I'd never heard of it until you brought it up.
Steampunkish, like it has floating ships. What's the word for that when ships are floating? There's a word for that. Why can't I know?
Oh, airships?
Yeah. Like with airships and pirates, and they're on floating islands. That's why it's Risen Kingdom. Like it's floating islands.
Oh, that's so cool.
And the magic system is, I've never read something like that. I'm so blown away by the magic system. The two main characters are their relationship that they have, and it's a father-daughter relationship more than a romantic relationship.
Yeah.
It is so well written. It is so well plotted out, and it's just so much fun to watch those two characters. And it's so it's a trilogy, but like at least book 1 and 2 are self-contained. So you have to read them in order, but they're self-contained. And it's kind of like a mystery element in it because they're running into an issue and then they're trying to solve it by following clues. And it's great. It's just a lot of fun. It's easy read, and the way he writes and the way he describes scenes and the way he builds the characters is
wow. That's cool. So the Alchemy of Masks and Mirrors, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I have to check into that because it sounds right up my alley.
It is fantastic.
Yeah, I like airships, and so yeah. You sold me on checking it out for sure.
Well, I'll see.
One more to my TBR. Frankenstein. Okay, interesting. Yeah, I have not read Frankenstein. I am going to read it in October though, so looking forward to that. Oh yeah, there was some really gorgeous editions of Frankenstein out there for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks. Appreciate it. Thanks, Theo. The Rising. I'm getting ready to reread The Rising. Oh, interesting. Have I heard of The Rising? I don't know if I have.
I don't think so either. Who's the author? Because Amazon is giving me like 300 things with The Rising.
Right. That's what I'm thinking here. The Rising.
I have a Brian Keene book. Oh no, that doesn't look like.
Yeah.
Has to tell us who the author is of The Rising.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna have to know that too, because
Brian Keene. Oh, it is that one.
oh,
Okay.
oh, it is Brian Keene. Okay, cool.
That
Right.
cover does not look like horror. Oh no, okay, if you look closely, it does a little bit. Never mind.
Thanks, Theo.
It is good.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to add it to mine too. Hey, how are you, Tadia? Good to see you. Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, the TBR just grows. It just grows and grows.
Yeah, tell me about it. Like
Yeah.
I'm realizing it now because I'm building that bookshelf there.
Yeah.
So I'm starting to sort things around, and you can't see that. Like, but in that corner there are stacks and stacks of books, and it's ridiculous. That's why I'm like, I want a book buying ban, and I went to Barnes and Noble the other day. So it's working out great.
Right.
I'm trying right now not to buy a bunch of books.
The struggle is real, believe me. Yeah, and I've got stacks of some books in front of other books because I don't have enough bookshelf space. I may have to break down and buy another small bookcase. I totally get it. It happens.
Yeah.
And now that you're doing the self-published sci-fi blog off, this is that's going to add probably a whole lot more to your.
Well, yeah. So our team has 29 books assigned at the moment that we have to read. Well, not all of them 100%.
Yeah.
But we are so phase 1 is the first 10 to 20% of each of those books, and then we can say yay or nay. And for those that we say yay, like the top ones of them, those we read completely, and we have till January for that. But yeah, it's 30 books in phase 1. Okay. And then we are starting to pick like top ones, and then we start to exchange with other teams. So at the end of the day, I'm probably reading 50 books or something that I then have.
Wow. And are you allowed to DNF?
Yes, we are.
Okay, good. Yeah, because that wouldn't be good if you couldn't DNF and you had to struggle through it. It's like, no.
Oh god, yeah. I mean, most of them are pretty short, so there are a lot of like 200 till 400 page books. But we have in our team, we have 2 700 page books. But again, we don't, even though if we don't like it, we can DNF it. It's totally fine.
Yeah.
But one of them, I'm really excited. It's the title is Vampires versus Vatican. It's like, what is going on here?
Right.
And the description sounded really interesting too, like that there's a demon living underneath the Vatican that someone is waking up. I was like, okay, I'm there for that. Like, give me the sci-fi part of it too. Like, I'm trying to figure that out, but it sounds pretty funky. But there are some good books in there. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's exciting. Yeah, I felt bad when you first invited me to join on, and because I like sci-fi, but it's not something I would sign on for, like self-published sci-fi for.
Yeah.
But
no, that's fine.
Yeah, if somebody if somehow I got invited to be part of the SPFBO, I might be willing to do that one because.
Yeah, isn't Andrew part of this year? So he might can get you in next year. I think.
Oh, okay. I don't remember.
Andrew is definitely also part of the sci-fi one.
Okay, yeah. Cool.
Or was it Leslie who is in both? I'm not sure. Andrew, you can tell us in a second. But yeah.
Yeah. The only booktuber that I knew that was officially in the SPFBO was Hillary from Bookborn.
Yeah. Oh, and Dominic. Yeah. Isn't Dominic also in SPFBO?
Oh, is he? Okay.
At least I've seen a review. Like he talked about 6 or 7 books and which ones he voted for moving forward or something like that.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Interesting. Yeah. I'm the only one I was aware of was Hillary, but that. Yeah. I'm sure it's. I mean, having booktubers join into that competition makes sense.
Yeah.
It really does, because booktube's really grown. So.
Yeah.
How would you get your book in there? Well, I don't know how it works for the sci-fi, and I don't know if that's what you're asking about, but Mark Lawrence has an entry period every year for the SPFBO, for you to submit your book for consideration for the competition. So, and I think it might be just marklawrence.com
I don't know.
or
Do they have
yeah, I'm
they
not
have their
sure,
own?
but if you search SPFBO, you'll find it.
Yeah, and follow their Twitter. Like they always put that on Twitter,
Oh,
and that's
that's
the same
right.
for yeah. It's the same for
Mm-hmm.
SpaceFix. So SPSFC, that's the science fiction one.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing, and they just started, so it would be next year then. Right now, they're both closed
Mm-hmm.
for this
Right.
year, but
Yeah.
next year, yeah, go on the website, and then they put the dates there when you can start applying, and then everybody submits their stuff through a Google form,
Mm-hmm.
and then they pick whichever whichever fit.
Right. Yep. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like Mark Lawrence Blogspot or something. But if you just Google it, Spiffbo, and then
Mm-hmm.
or SPFBO,
Yeah.
then you're good.
Exactly. Book bans while the books pile up on the floor. Yep. Yep. I'm not good at I've stopped giving myself book bans because I never
I'm trying really hard.
right. Well, I read so many ebooks that it's hard when I see an ebook for $1.99. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna grab that, depending on what it is. But
Yeah. But my Kindle is the same. Like I'm seeing sales somewhere, like Discord is bad for that, where you have the deals sections in some
Mhm.
of the Discords, and like, oh, let me look, and then I see something like, oh, I wanted to read this for a while, it's on sale, and then Amazon tells me you already have this, you bought it 2 years ago. It's like, oh,
Right?
okay.
Yeah, I'm not alone. Yeah, I have. I love books so much, so I've learned to give myself grace with buying them because and I'm very fortunate that if I'm buying a bunch of ebooks, it's not going to kill my budget. So even though I probably should save money, but
Well,
what's your definition of science fiction? I have heard so many opinions. So yeah, that's a good question. How would you define science fiction, Fina?
I have to go to an appointment. Sorry, I have to jump now. That is a tough question. That
It
really
is
is.
a tough question.
Because,
Yeah,
it's not just spaceships anymore, I don't think. Like,
right.
there are a lot of things where that don't even necessarily play in the future, which is just alternative history. And if
Mm-hmm.
you look at, so what I found really fascinating, and I know that's not answering the question, but here we are. What I found really fascinating when you apply for a spacefic as a reviewer or as an author, they have a long list of categories that you can select where your book fits in. And there are so many things that I've never heard
Oh,
in my
I
life
know.
before, but science fiction is so huge. Like the biggest dystopian, alternative history, the classical space opera, that's probably one of the biggest ones. But there was
Mm-hmm.
a lot of like neo punk, and I don't even know anymore, but there was a long
Mm-hmm.
list of genres, and it's really hard to say. And I honestly have to say, so we had a reading sprint this morning where we read 3 books, and one of them we were sitting there. It's like, where's the sci-fi element? We're not 100% sure yet where that is sci-fi.
Yeah.
And it's for me, and that's my personal opinion, that is probably not the necessarily thing. So first of all, fantasy and sci-fi are so close together, it's really hard to separate them sometimes. But as long as it has either something futuristic or something based on the real world, but an alternative to the real world or in the future of the real world, or something in space, then it goes toward, and I'm probably like in super layman's term, I'm saying this right now, but that's for me sci-fi. If it's just
Right.
something with like paranormal, for example, it would not be sci-fi for me. That would be more on the fantasy side or horror, depending on which direction it goes.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I don't know if that
Yeah, and they
answers the
all fit.
question. But
They all fit under the general umbrella of speculative fiction,
yeah,
and literature has evolved so much. I think maybe 20 years ago, the line between sci-fi and fantasy was a lot harder. But now there's so much mixing of genres even going on, and I think for sci-fi I think there's more subgenres in sci-fi than there are for fantasy.
Oh, it's nuts. Yeah.
It's just blown up. So it used to be that, people would say, oh, well, fantasy is about possibility, whereas sci-fi is more about probability, what will actually happen in our near future if we get so technologically advanced. But now it's so hard to
Yeah.
define. Yeah.
I find in sci-fi there's a lot of blurring lines too. There are a
Mm-hmm.
lot of books that also fall into the thriller category or just general
Yes.
fiction. Like
Mm-hmm.
one of those that I just recently realized was like, because I was saying, oh, I'm reading sci-fi only for 2 years, and then I realized no, that's actually not true. There is Suarez is the author who wrote Damon, which is a thriller book, but it
Okay.
plays in the future and has science fiction elements in there. So in my head, it also falls into the science fiction category. And there are a
Mm-hmm.
lot of books that are kind of under science fiction that would totally like there are thriller elements in there. It's like you're solving a puzzle or something, or it's solving a mystery,
Mm-hmm.
but it just plays in the future, and you have like whatever. Not fake body parts, but enhanced body parts, augmented body parts in it, or something that makes it then
Mm-hmm.
sci-fi. It is so blurry in so many areas, I find. Yeah,
Yeah, it is. It has gotten a lot more blurry. I think you're right. So
yeah,
yeah, yeah. So it's hard to that's a great question, Jr. But I don't know I don't know as we'll find a good answer.
yeah.
Even there's sci fantasy crossovers that
Dune is a
yeah,
great
yeah,
example of that.
Dune is an absolutely great example of that, and so is even though I didn't end up liking it, Shadow and Claw is very much a sci fantasy as
Yeah,
well.
gotcha.
And video games have been doing sci fantasy for years. Like Final Fantasy is
Yeah,
totally a sci fantasy. So
yeah,
yeah, it's hard to really narrow things down anymore.
yeah.
Yeah.
So something, yeah, I like you when you said it's probable, right? I think that's a
Mhm.
good way of kind of trying to put an umbrella on it.
It is. Yeah, it's yeah, because the things in because we know that magic won't really happen, but the things that we read in your standard sci-fi books are very likely possible to happen. You
Yeah,
know, especially uh, especially the Expanse series. Like that the Expanse is only a few, a couple of hundred, maybe 300 years removed from us right now,
yeah,
technically.
yeah,
So with the exception that they've colonized Mars. I don't know how soon that might happen, but there's already people talking about it,
yeah, yeah.
and there's not any overt alien life in the Expanse series, although they do encounter some uh, some extraterrestrial entities. So, yeah, um, it's entirely at least in my personal opinion.
Yeah.
I totally think aliens are out there. We just haven't connected with them yet.
There has
That's my personal
yeah,
opinion.
there
So,
just has to be. It's too
yeah,
big for it.
as many universes and galaxies as exist, and now with this new space telescope that they released,
That
all
looks
all
so amazing.
I know it's so amazing. So with all the pictures that we're already getting, no one can convince me that there's not life on other planets and galaxies out there besides
Yeah,
Earth.
yeah.
So, yeah. Uh,
Yeah, I'm with you, Sarah. You put everything on a wish list, and then the moment you say, "Okay, it's over," you order all the books
right.
that you would have ordered
Yeah.
normally, and then never.
It's kind of like Lent, right? Everybody sacrifices for Lent, and then once Lent's over, here we go.
Yeah, let's eat everything we wanted to eat the last month in one
Right.
swoop.
Right.
Ah,
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Well, that's really exciting. I'm really glad that sci-fi is getting its time for self-published authors as well.
I agree. I agree.
I've been thinking for a few years now that why isn't there one of those competitions for sci-fi? So I'm glad they did that. So
Yep. So it's
yeah.
so the sci-fi one is led by Yu Howie, who wrote the Silo trilogy, or he's most known.
Oh yeah,
He
I've
wrote a
heard
bunch
of him.
yeah. So he is running that together with Duncan Swan, who's also a self-pub author. His
Okay.
book, I honestly have to say I haven't heard of Duncan Swan before Space Fake, but I've looked up his book and that sounds really good too. It's more a sci-fi horror type thing too. But
Mm,
that cover looks very enticing as well, and that description is also very, very interesting. But I think I
mhm.
have enough sci-fi books for the next month to read, so it will be put at the end there somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, what we've seen so far, there's some really fun stuff in the stack of things. Like a couple that I've read actually recently that are not part of my team. They're associated with a different team. But two that I have read recently is Ribakite by O.R. Leah,
Okay.
which is a really fun. The aliens in here are really interesting. They are not what you would expect aliens to be. And it
Yeah.
was also more like on a mystery level, which was really interesting. Place in the Middle East, and I had a lot of fun with that one.
Uh-huh.
And the other one is Mercury's Shadow, where I
Okay.
also love the cover, and that's a bit more YA, but
Yeah. I
was
like the
also a
cover.
lot of fun to read. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, those are
Good to
just
know.
two that I found recently, not outside of space fic, but there's so much on the sci-fi world. But it is a conversation. Like one of the things that we started talking about between the judges is like how do we get more diverse when it comes to the submissions, because it's a lot of US, like it's very US heavy
Yeah.
and very male heavy in the sci-fi world. So there was a lot of conversation on where do you find those people, because there are writers all over the world that write sci-fi, right? We just
Yeah.
don't know how to get to them and tell them about space fic. And that was a great conversation that we had on how do you get more people interested in this competition, and so they just know about it. And then
Mhm.
so we have next year number 3 then an even more diverse um, host of authors that submit the books and such. So yeah.
Mhm. Wow. Well, yeah, that's great. It's a really, really great time for unknown sci-fi authors to get their voices heard, and
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
love it.
Hey.
Hey, glad you came. If you see what changed only in the last 50 years, a lot can. Yes, it sure can. Yep,
Yep.
absolutely.
And I love that. Like that's what I like about sci-fi, those that you can explore possibilities. And that's
Mhm.
why I like particularly anything that has to do with AI. I just have a general interest in AI. And I
Mhm.
find that very fascinating when authors think they're okay, what can happen in a positive and in a negative way when we have
Mhm.
actual sentient AI and what can happen. Um,
Yeah.
or dystopian too, right? If you like think Handmaid's Tale and these type of dystopian books, I find that
Mhm.
so fascinating how authors think through, okay, let's imagine a society like ours, but this happened. How do we get along with that? And
Right.
yeah, I just like that type of thinking through certain things.
Yeah, that is very cool. I like that as well. It's only for
Yeah,
English.
English books, they would have to be
Yeah,
for
yeah, it is.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. At least for
Yeah, I
now, I
like
think
that.
Swiftbo is the same, right? They only submit English books, like it would have to be translated into English.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's only English books for Spiffbo too, and that is unfortunate. Like I wonder if they were able to get their books translated into English, if maybe they could enter that way. I don't know, but
Yeah,
that's an option because
yeah,
I know they would take it if it was in English. So even if it's translated,
yeah. Yeah, but
yeah,
you have to
so
go through the translation, yeah, which is not
yeah,
always
that's a
easy.
tough process,
Yeah,
uh, and unless somebody's a native speaker of both languages, that's hard to find too.
yeah,
So yeah.
yeah. Hey, Derry.
Hey, Derry, welcome.
Hey,
Glad
that's
you're
isn't that
here.
pretty early for you? I'm glad you're here anyway.
Right, I am too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Derry's awesome. I mean, she's one of the main reasons that I finally broke down and started reading Farseer. So, yeah,
Yeah, she is an advocate for that series, and I've
yes.
watched the beginnings of that, and man, I really have to get to that series as soon as I'm done with Green Rider, and probably a
Mhm.
little bit further with the Jenny Bortz one. I just don't want to have too many big series at the same time. But yeah, Derry is the one that keeps poking me. It's like, hey, let's read this. And I'm like, okay. And then I have to read the rest of it. So yeah, I'm You know, I
Mhm.
want to read it. And then I watch her videos. I was like, yeah, I really want to read it.
Right.
Her videos are great though. So I have to say, like when it comes to originality, her videos with what she does with the Farsi and how she reviews them are brilliant. I really
They
love her videos.
are.
And I only
They
watched the
really
first
are.
two because I don't want to get spoiled too far ahead of the series.
Right.
But
She's good about that though too. Like I watched her live ship video, her most recent one, and she's good about avoiding spoilers.
okay, well
Uh,
maybe I should. Yeah, I was just careful.
so
I didn't even
yeah.
try because I was like, you know,
Yeah, I totally understand. I'm like I was kind of on the fence at first. I'm like, well, I don't know if I want spoilers, but then I'm like, I really want to watch another dairy video, so
yeah,
so I went for it, and I'm like, oh yeah, that wasn't that spoilery, so really at all. So yeah,
that's good. Yeah.
you're most welcome. um,
Oh, that's
yeah,
good to know. Okay. Yeah,
yeah,
I never even tried because again, I was like, "Oh, just in case you say something that would spoil something," you know? But that's
yeah,
good to know. Then I'll definitely check out more of your videos because you do have a great Discworld series too, and I haven't watched too much of
yes.
it because I was like,
Her
"Ooh, I might
Discworld
be spoiled." Yeah.
series is fantastic.
Mhm.
Yep. Yeah, so yeah, she's another one I've got to get on here eventually on CHAS and Friends. We
See, Derry, you heard it.
right, exactly. Yeah, she'll and I think I mentioned to her already. She knows that she's on my hit list for CHAS and Friends. So
Was that a threat or a promise? I'm not quite sure.
right, it's a good hit list. No weapons, I promise.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
Oh,
but yeah, yeah, lots of great channels out there, and there's some good channels devoted to just sci-fi too, like Jonathan over at oh
Words in time.
yeah, Words in Time. Yeah,
Yeah.
his channel's really great. I've found some really good sci-fi gems from his channel.
Yeah.
So
And then Scott from Book Invasion, if he does videos, he hasn't done any
oh
in a long time, but the videos that he's done, he has some really good recommendations too. I like
okay,
his stuff. Yeah.
yeah, I don't think I've heard of him. I'll have to check him out.
Yeah.
I one channel that I really like, and his channel is quite big too. So, and that is Quinn from Quinn's Ideas.
Oh, I've heard that. Wait.
Yeah, his channel is really good. He's got some excellent content on Dune, some excellent content on A Song of Ice and Fire. He's also started doing content on um, Remembrance of Earth's Past by Sijin Liu,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the
Yeah.
three body problem and such like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's done some videos recently on Sijin Liu's books, and I know I'm mispronouncing that. I'm sorry, but I really enjoyed watching those videos. That's a series I've been wanting to get into. So,
Yes. Badly. Oh, that's just too many good
oh
videos.
yeah, my Get Fit
Yes.
to Be
To
Read
be fair.
does some good
Yeah.
sci-fi too. Yeah,
Yeah. That's true.
yeah, we
No,
will definitely get you sorted
sorry,
in.
Quinn's thumbnails are amazing.
Yes, yes,
He
they really
finds some
are.
great art to use for that.
Yeah. And he was one of the unfortunate booktubers that was getting his videos like flagged a lot when Dune was in pre-production and post-production and eventually came to the theaters. Like Warner Brothers was all over like demonetizing people's YouTube videos and stuff. It's like, really? Come on.
Why? You earn
Yeah.
enough money even with having
Yeah,
YouTubers get a little.
if nothing else, it actually makes them money by booktubers promoting their movie.
Yeah,
So
it's free marketing. That's what this is
yeah,
called.
right.
Oh man.
So yeah, they that he and a couple of other pro, uh, Dune channels, they did reaction videos to the trailers and stuff, and they got flagged, and it's like really, yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
It depends on the studio too.
Yeah, and probably the size then of the booktuber. I mean, I see he has 500,000, which is a pretty decent size for a booktuber. So yeah, you know, if someone has like 50, it's probably they probably don't care. But yeah, and that
Mhm.
size. Well, you know, the funds of the funds of booktube or YouTube in general, or social media in general.
Right, exactly. I know of Quinn's content from when he's okay. Oh, I haven't heard of David Lightbringer. That's interesting. Cool. Absolutely free marketing, free hype. Yeah, absolutely.
You pay
Yeah.
a shit ton of money for that. I'm sorry, can I swear on your channel?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Go for it. Oh,
You pay a shit ton of money for that kind of stuff. So.
right, exactly. My cat is trying to decide it. Yeah, she's trying to decide if you're gonna come up.
I told CHAS that when we were talking about like getting ready for this schedule, I said I'm actually a cat person. I'm just stuck with a dog.
Right.
So I'm always happy when I can see cats because my dog would not go along with the cat. Hello, kitty.
So this is Ari.
Hi, Ari.
And you can
nope,
sit there. It's okay. I won't hold you anymore. We'll just let you sit in my lap and be petted. Every once in a while, you'll see her tail wag a little bit.
That's okay. That makes me happy.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. She's my little buddy. Yeah, aren't you? Yeah.
I love my dog too. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I love her to pieces, and I love cuddling with her. Although she's not as cuddly of a dog. Well, with my husband because she came with my husband, so I had no choice. I'm the bad stepmom essentially. And no, we got along. We had at the beginning it was a little bit like, okay, let's see if we become friends. But now we get along. As long as I have food or when he's not home, then I'm her favorite.
Right.
Yeah, but no, she's amazing.
That's cool.
Kitty.
Oh, thank you, Derek. Yeah, she really is. Yeah, she's about 10 years old.
Alrighty.
And still really healthy and enjoying life, it seems. She loves to be petted, so she's not one of those standoffish cats. She definitely loves affection. So
yeah,
it's always an adjustment when there's stepkids around. Yes, there is.
Yeah.
House of the Dragon has instead reached out to the bigger creator. Yes, they have, and I think that is fantastic. Have you watched that yet, Fina?
Don't get me started on that one. I'm not going to watch it.
not going to watch it, huh?
No. Okay. No, but that has nothing to do with that show. I mean, I don't know anything about that show, but Game of Thrones had me so angry that I had to stop watching it because I started yelling at the TV and it made me so aggressive that I was like, nope, I'm just not, and I'm walking away. And I was one of those that was really pissed at all the changes. And at one point I just said, I'm just not watching it. It's not worth my energy and I'm just good with it. So
I can definitely understand that. I can. I didn't like a lot of the changes they made, but I enjoyed it as an alternate version of A Song of Ice and Fire. We'll put it that way. I enjoyed the show. Not so much the last season, but I still enjoyed it overall. But yeah, this seems to be, now I have not finished reading Fire and Blood yet. I'm still working through it, but it seems to be very, very favorable to a lot of people who have read the book, that they really like what it's doing with the book. So I feel good about that.
Yeah, I haven't read the book yet. So because I've read Game of Thrones, I read it in German way back when.
Okay.
When I wasn't even aware that is a big hype thing. Like I just saw the books in the bookstore that came out with new editions. I was like, oh, that looks interesting. And there are a lot of books out there, so let me read it. And I didn't even realize it's not a finished series. Like I was completely naive in that regards. And I really enjoyed it, most of it. In Germany, it's 10 books, so they split each book.
Oh, right.
Because they get bigger, right? German is a more massive language, so they get bigger. But so I read 10 books, and the one that I didn't like was book 7, which would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It would be book 4, the first half of book 4. Yeah. Where I was just like, nah. That was terrible and boring. And okay, yeah. But overall, I really liked it. And then I realized, oh, this is actually a really big thing.
Right.
Like there's a huge fandom behind it. I'm like, okay, I get it. And what was my purpose of this whole rambling? Oh yeah, Fire and Blood. So that was a long time ago. And then I bought Fire and Blood the first week it came out, and since then
Mhm.
it's sitting on my bookshelf, and I haven't read
I can understand that. Yeah, I'm still working through it. It's really, really good. I'm not really into history books, but it's really, really good. George R. R. Martin just has a way of writing history that is unparalleled, I think. So it's for a history book about a fictional world, it's really good so far. And I
it.
enjoyed the first episode of House of the Dragon, even though I haven't made it to that point in the book yet, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm still watching because I don't want to be spoiled for the show. So,
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And
but
that's the reason,
yeah.
and that answers one of Derry's questions too. That's the reason why I'm not watching Sandman yet,
Hmm.
is because I want to read the graphic novels first, and then I will watch the TV show. I'm really excited. That looks amazing. I've watched the trailer, and I really want to watch that.
Hmm. Oh yeah, it's really, really good. Yeah, I saw that she had asked about that. So, did your spouse read fantasy?
Unfortunately not.
Yeah.
He doesn't read as much as all anymore. He used to read like all the Star Wars books. He's a huge Star Wars fan. And I mean, he likes fantasy, so we watch the movies. He loves the Game of Thrones TV show, except for the last season, like everybody
Hmm.
else.
Right.
So he loves that, and was like Star Wars, obviously, and then a bunch of general fantasy. Like he likes Lord of the Rings, the movies, and whatnot. So
Okay.
when at least that's what he's telling me. I have no proof of it, but he said as a teenager and young adult, he read all the Star Wars books. But yeah, I've been trying to get him to read things like Project Hail Mary and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, he's not reading much anymore. Like he reads, articles, and he reads a lot like Reddit posts and that kind of stuff, and technology things, work related, but no fantasy, which is why I have a booktube channel. So I have someone
Right.
to talk to and don't have to annoy him too much.
Exactly. No, that's cool. Yeah, that he it's hard when you don't have an outlet right there in your home to talk about, but
Yeah.
yeah, it happens.
Yeah, but that's okay,
I
you find solutions. Like, he plays Magic the Gathering, and,
Oh, there you
he
go.
tells me a little bit at a high level, but then he has his friends where he goes, like, in his Magic store when he plays 3, 4 times a week, and he can talk to them. Like, I listen and I understand it because I actually taught him Magic the Gathering,
Oh,
but he
that's
is the one.
funny.
Yeah, he's the one playing really a lot at the moment, and he's really good right by now. And
Okay.
but yeah, and he loves to tell me what decks he put together, and I understand about half of it. And then and that's the same with the books. I tell him like, oh, general, like the general thing. That's what the book is about, and then I tell him if I liked it or not,
Yeah.
and that's works well.
Well, that's cool. You found something that works, and that's
Yeah.
perfect. Well, as for me, Ari, do you read fan? No, I'm just kidding. I, yeah, I am I'm not attached. I do not have a spouse. I have an ex-spouse, but yeah, uh, and we're friendly, but yeah, yeah,
But your daughter,
yeah,
right?
my daughter does. She reads a lot of different things, but she really does enjoy fantasy. Like I talked her into reading House in the Cerulean Sea, and she absolutely fell in love with it.
Oh, I can see that. Yeah.
And she has read Project Hail Mary, and Dad has not yet read it.
What are we
So
doing with you,
yeah,
Chaz? What are
and The
we doing?
Martian is one of her favorite books of all time.
So she
So
likes The Martian better than Project Hail Mary?
she said it's a tough decision which one she likes better.
Gotcha.
Yeah, she likes them both equally almost, but for different reasons.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, it's good. And my son likes fantasy as well, although he's not much of a reader, at least not right now. So eventually he will probably get back to it, I think. But I got him into the Shannara series.
Gotcha. Yeah. Oh, that is
He
not a short series
Yeah,
either.
he read the first two trilogies in that series, I think. So it's
Good.
it's good, and
Yeah.
yeah, I do have a lot of friends. Well, not a lot of friends, but I have a few friends locally that read fantasy, but not nearly as much as I do. So that's why I'm on BookTube as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, House of the Dragon was really good. Yep, I liked it too. Oh, okay. Just watched a few hours ago. Yeah, the next one's coming tomorrow, I think,
Yeah.
actually. Yeah.
I just heard that the second season got approved, and they are definitely going to do a second
Yes,
season, is what I heard.
I
I
I
mean, I
heard
have
that
to,
too.
yeah, I have to watch it eventually because, as I said, right, my husband is a big fan of Game of Thrones. He definitely wants to watch it, and I'm like, okay, maybe I'll do the first episode and then go from there, and we'll see. I hope I'm not getting too mad at things, and you know.
Right? Yeah, I get it. I do. It's hard when you see an adaptation that just totally destroys the book series that you
Yeah,
love.
it was a lot of things though. So,
Mhm,
I mean, I'm not the mega Game of Thrones fan. I think it's a good series. I
mhm.
think it's a bit overhyped, to be very honest.
Okay.
I think so. I think George R. R. Martin is a brilliant writer. Like the
Yeah.
fact to keep all of this together. I mean, he is running into issues now because, which is why we don't have book 6 yet. But keeping
Right.
all of this together is incredible. I mean, there are so many storylines that all make sense. It's just, there are other things that I just like better from the writing style. And
Mhm.
it's a little bit too much gore and torture for, and in a lot of cases, like I don't like books when you use like torture and stuff like that as a vehicle to say, look how terrible this is. Kite
Mhm.
Runner is one of those examples where I wanted to throw the book away because I was so mad at it because he
Okay.
just used this one negative scene. I don't know if you've read Kite Runner.
I
Um,
haven't, no.
yeah, okay. So there are a lot of like really, it's in war and they're just generally negative scenes in there. And I think I don't like it when people use really not gory scenes, what's the word that I'm looking for, like torture and
Mhm.
violence as a means of, I want to show you fear. And
Mhm.
when they are trying to push you into a direction of, you need to think this way now about what I'm writing for you, and when it's obvious, and George R. R. Martin does that in some of his scenes, and I just don't like stuff like that.
Mhm.
But overall, I mean, I think the world is great. I think what he has created is, I mean, that's incredible. It's mind blowing, really,
It
as a
is.
writer coming up with that and keeping all of this together and getting those storylines straight. And I'm a huge fan of general medieval like flares and atmospheres, and I really love that in Game of Thrones. Like, I mean, that is all medieval inspired, like end to end. And I love dragons. Like, those are the things that I really like.
Mhm.
Um, so to get to the TV show. So one, I just don't like when there's a TV show or movies in general and they're going so far off the rails. So that was the big thing where I just stopped watching. But then
Yeah.
in general, I didn't like some of the actors. I'm weird that way. So I didn't like some of the actors I didn't vibe with. And then it was just too Hollywood in some senses where like some of the more adult scenes were just like, why do we have to do this? People, the
Mhm.
movie or the TV show would be as good without all of this. You're just doing it to sensationalize. That's the word I'm looking for.
Okay,
To
yeah.
sensationalize things. And I'm like,
Mhm.
why? We don't need it. You're just doing it to push people to think a certain way right now. And I don't
Mhm.
like stuff like that. Anyway, rant
I
over.
get it. Yeah. No, that's a valid rant. I totally understand where you're coming from with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I can respect that. Um, yeah, Chadia says the changes are no problem. Yeah, I think it will make it better. From what I've heard, even George R. R. Martin said that he likes some of the changes they've made, and it makes some characters in particular much more nuanced than they were in his stories. So I think that'll be good.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
thinking that
it was
that
just
is
like
a
all of
tough
a
one.
sudden there's just a lot of introduction. You're right, thanks dude for remembering. Yeah. Like the so many introductions and it feels like kind of you're starting all over again. And I was like, oh come on, we're at book 7. Why are we doing this all over again? Yeah. There was
Right.
just that book really, that took me forever to read that one. So the first half of book 4 is what I said, right? Yeah.
Yeah. The Silmarillion was better, but Fire and Blood comes close. So, yeah, I read the Silmarillion as well, and overall, I think I like the expansion of J.R.R. Tolkien's world more than I am liking the expansion of Westeros in Fire and Blood.
Interesting.
However, the prose and the language level and the prose in Fire and Blood is much more accessible. So the
That is
Silmarillion
very
is
true. Yes.
the Silmarillion is an excellent book, but it takes a lot of effort to read because the it's such a high prose.
Yeah,
And
that
there's
is
nothing wrong with that. It's just, it's Tolkien versus Martin.
yeah,
We expect one thing from Tolkien and another from Martin.
yeah.
So
And
yeah.
I think you make a good point. I think that's why George R. R. Martin is so successful, because it's so accessible. Because even if you're not a fantasy reader, which has for a lot of people that weird negative connotation that we could also talk about forever about why this is ridiculous, but the Game of Thrones or A Song of Ice and Fire doesn't have that humongous fantasy feel, even though it is. But it's so accessibly written that a lot of non-fantasy readers are really liking it. And
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yep. That's for sure. Helps to know that Fire and Blood isn't a novel. That's very true. And the fact that a TV show was made of a not novel
That's interesting
makes the changes a lot more acceptable, because you're trying to put into character interactions and dialogue things that were just historical accounts.
Yeah.
So yeah,
yep.
Makes sense. Yep, Chadi agrees. We can all agree about tubas for our people are. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Project Hail Mary is great. Okay. Both.
Oh, interesting. That is an unpopular opinion.
Hey, Mason's here. Welcome, Mason. Glad to see you, bud. He's another one whose channel I highly, highly recommend. And he's very diverse in terms of his content. He's got so many different things that will appeal to a lot of different people. So highly recommend his channel. Yeah. So yep, exactly.
Yeah, let me do the first arc of Jenny Woods. I at least want to finish the first arc, and then yeah, that is also one of those things that
that is one of the unfortunate things in the Song of Ice and Fire series, and I know why he did it. I mean, he was inspired by the War of the Roses, which that was very prevalent.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Anyway, again, there are things you like, things you don't like, and that's why you have so many different books. So you find something. Yeah.
Exactly. Dragons are awesome and you sound smart.
Dragons are awesome. Yes.
Dragons are very awesome. Yes, indeed.
That's
well, there you go. Yeah, we all got to see Matt Smith's bum in the first episode. So yes.
Sure.
and I have to say, and this is probably an unpopular opinion. I like Matt Smith okay, but I'm not a huge fan. Like he was, and I'm probably going to get crap for this. He was my least favorite Doctor in Doctor Who.
Okay.
I liked him, but he was my least favorite Doctor. And I don't know what it is about him. He just doesn't sit well with me, but he is really good in this new House of the Dragon show as well. Okay. So yeah. Okay. Exactly. Kay's here. Hello, Kay.
Hey, Kay.
Why, thank you. We are having a good time, I think. At least I think so.
Yeah. Yes, yes.
Good. I remember the first time I went from the trilogy to Silmarillion and had a massive culture shock. That is so true, Mason. Oh yeah, the Silmarillion is very different. It's a very different read from Lord of the Rings, even though it's connected. Yep, totally get that.
So yeah, that's something I'm really excited for now, because I'm actually doing a reread of Lord of the Rings in November, December, January. Like, it's a bigger thing. I think it's on it's on Jimmy's channel, the Fantasy Network. He's doing like a reread on his Discord with Hobbit and then Lord of the Rings.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah. I'll have to. I want to reread it at some point, but I haven't gone there yet.
Yeah, I have to. It has been way too long, and I really need to redo that experience. And then I want to dig into the other books as well, because there's so many interesting stories that he wrote in that world that I just want to really dive into. So I'm excited about that. And Cimmerillion is one of those. So we'll see how that
Right.
goes.
So this is kind of funny. So Mason here said, "You're far too kind, my friend. I can only aspire to be as insightful as you." And then later on, when I least favorite doctor, I retract that statement about you. I'm sorry, Mason. I still appreciate him, just not favorite. But yeah, that's okay. I'm sorry. I slammed his favorite doctor.
Well, you warned them that it was an unpopular opinion,
I
so at least
did.
you know.
Mason is a natural entertainer. Yeah, your content is choice. Yep, absolutely. How can you not like Matt Smith too much? I think he's wonderful, and as Damon, he's freaking awesome. He's got the super swagger going on. Yeah, that's true. He does have quite the swagger going on. I don't know. I just, for some reason, he didn't click with me totally as the Doctor, even though I still enjoyed his stint as the Doctor. It didn't click with me like the others did for some reason. Yeah. Thank you, Mason. I feel vindicated. Matt Smith is a great doctor. Okay.
I see that is something you can talk about with you folks. I have to say, I've watched the very first season of Doctor Who, and that was it. It was just, I don't know, it was not a big thing in Germany. It was not so big as it was here.
The original one, or was it just the new ones with starting with Christopher Eccleston?
Oh,
not sure.
let me see what my Google says. Which person I watched? David Tennant, I think, is the one.
Oh, okay, yeah. So you started with Tennant is my favorite Doctor, and he's one of my favorite actors just in general. Good Omens, Broadchurch, anything David Tennant does is gold to me. I have not found anything yet that I do not like of David Tennant. Even his brief stint in Harry Potter, I thought was absolutely wonderful. So yeah, and that's a great place to start. I have not watched the original Who either. I do want to, especially the fourth Doctor. I know is a huge fan favorite. So,
I'm just checking. Yeah, Doctor. Yeah, I think at least that's again long time ago. Long time ago.
Right.
Yeah.
Gary says for rereads, audio is great in Andy Serkis. Yes, I did purchase I used a credit from Audible for all of the Andy Serkis narrations. I'm very excited because I love Andy Serkis. So, not a huge fan of Matt Smith, but I like him as Damon. Yeah, he misses eyebrows. Yeah. I don't know. I still have a hard time picturing Matt Smith as a blonde, but or I guess it's not technically blonde. That would be, what color would his hair? Would they be platinum?
In Game of Thrones?
In Game of Thrones, yeah.
I'd say blonde, but then...
Yeah, I say blonde too, but it's a lot lighter than blonde. I don't
blonde?
know. Yeah, light blonde, I guess would be it. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, 10 is the best Doctor. Okay, Derry. At least I'm on your good list with that. David Tennant as a villain is very frightening. Yes. I have not seen Des. That's interesting. I will have to go watch it because have you watched Jessica Jones, Fina?
I started that, and it's funny because that's the one that I'm seeing. He was like, oh yeah, that is a good one that I need to rewatch.
He's a very creepy villain.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I think we watched the first season of that, and then for whatever reason never continued. It was a good one. I like stuff like that, so I have to redo that again. Probably better than for the 20th time Castle or something.
Right. Platinum White. Okay. All right. Oh, see you, Derry. All right. Thank you for coming.
Oh, she is going to Jimmy's Patreon thing. Yep.
Oh, right. Yeah, absolutely. I know. Yeah, that's where you're off to soon, huh?
But I don't have to be
Yeah,
there on time. It's
right.
nothing. Yeah, all
Okay.
good.
Cool. I know you probably covered it already, but are you excited for Rings of Power?
We actually didn't cover it.
Oh, yeah, we didn't cover it. I I don't know. They're really holding a lot of stuff close to the chest. Like even as many trailers as they've released, it just doesn't give me enough to say either way. I don't know. What about you, Fina? Have you watched the
Yeah.
trailers and stuff?
Well, the little that, to your point, the little that is there, right? So I definitely want to watch it more so than the Game of Thrones one, where I'm blanking on the name again. Listen,
Hmm.
it's, I don't know, it's just 3 and it feels like it's 9 p.m. and I should go back to bed or something. That's how my brain functions right now. Um, but I'm more excited than that. I'm not as excited as I was for Dune.
Hmm.
So
Right.
I definitely want to watch it because oh God, people will not subscribe to my channel with all the things that I'm saying. Like with a Lord of the Rings movies, as an example, I like them. And I just yesterday talked with my husband about them because I was telling him about my plan to reread the books. I don't think I've ever watched any of them completely end to end because I always fall
Okay.
asleep with
Okay.
watching the movies. And it has nothing necessarily to do with the movies. They're just so freaking long.
Yeah, they are long. I'll give you that.
So I'm actually looking forward of a different version of it with that series, and everything that I hear so far, again, the little that is, but the things that they're thinking about doing and the actors that I've seen and the short scenes that I've seen, I actually am really interested in how they're pulling this off and how things are changing over the years. Because how old are the movies now? They were early 2000s.
Yeah, yeah, early 2000s, and this is going to be covering material from the Silmarillion,
Yeah.
so from the Second Age. So yeah, it will be interesting how they transition that too, because apparently the Tolkien estate hates Peter Jackson from what I recently heard, which shocked me because the movies were actually really good,
Oh, yeah.
but then
And
of course the Hobbit movies were not. I mean they were fun, but it wasn't the Hobbit that with one exception. Smaug was perfect. I mean, oh my goodness. I loved Smaug, and I like Martin Freeman as well.
yeah,
He did a great Bilbo, but they embellished way too much. They just made it way too long. And
yeah,
so anyway, that
yeah.
that's I got off on a tangent there. But yeah, it will be interested to see. I just don't know enough to
But
go
that's
either
what,
way.
yeah, that's what I kind of like about it, right? Because like
Hmm.
if I look at, and I'm using Dune as an example because that was one where I was so excited about to watch this movie. They gave us a lot of detail, I thought, and a lot of trailers, and there was a lot of preview. And then I found the movie kind of disappointing.
Mm,
And I was super confused that it ended in the middle. I didn't realize till at that point that it is a part one and that they didn't even have the okay for part two at that point. I was like, what was the whole point of me watching this right now? I mean,
right.
seriously, people. See, those are the things that I get mad about.
Oh, I totally get that. Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas with the Rings of Powers, I feel because they are not sharing as much, there is, you can go in with less expectation. So
Hmm.
there's a lower likelihood of it screwing up, you know? I don't know if that
Yeah.
makes any sense, but that's kind of how I feel about it. But I definitely want to watch that. So I think that's one. And similar with I said earlier, and I haven't started with that yet, but I said earlier, Wheel of Time is probably a series that I don't know if I will ever read it. Maybe the first book just to give it a go. But the TV show on the other end, I actually want to watch eventually,
Yeah.
even though I
Cool.
didn't hear too good things. But I only heard not so good things from people that really love the book series. So I'm wondering if I might like the TV show since I haven't read the book series.
Yeah. For Wheel of Time, I read the first book. Well, technically, I read the first two books, but it's been years since I read the second book, and I DNF the series, of course, but or temporarily anyway. But that's the only thing that makes me hesitant. Well, that's one of the things that makes me hesitant with the Rings of Power, only because Amazon's track record is very hit or miss.
Yeah.
The Expanse is a phenomenal show. and at least based on the first. Oh, sorry, I hit a button. Um, um, at least for the first season, I've only read the first book in the Expanse series, but I came to the book series from already watching 5 seasons of the show, and
Well,
actually, season 1 is almost beat for beat right from the book. So
okay.
uh, Amazon did a great job with the Expanse. They did a phenomenal job with Good Omens. I'm just so amazed with how good that adaptation was. But then, yeah, Wheel of Time was not great. I mean, it was okay, but it just wasn't great. So I just don't know how to feel about Rings of Power.
Well,
I know the Tolkien estate is extremely anal. The Tolkien estate is extremely anal.
I can see
So
that. Yeah. So
I
we'll see.
I think that that is a good thing for the Rings of Power.
Yeah. Oh, and
Um,
there are several comments that say also that it's the appendices of Lotro, not Cimmerillion. But either way, it's the same
okay.
universe, right? Yeah.
Yeah, same universe. I could have sworn that they were pulling stuff from the Silmarillion too, because the in the Silmarillion, the very final section of the Silmarillion is is the first scene actually of the Lord of the Rings movies. That the opening scene. So, but yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, maybe I'm wrong on that. So that's fine. Um, it's been a long time since I read the Silmarillion. One who says they're not long lives in a world where time functions differently. Yes, that's for sure. Only the appendices of Lord of the Rings. Okay, okay, interesting. Well, I did not know that, but that's good information. Yeah, I appreciate that. I wonder how Peter Jackson got the rights to that section of the Silmarillion.
Maybe there was like, a back way of how he got it into the movie. Who knows?
Maybe. I think technically anything they're covering is from the appendices due to not having the rights. Okay, yep.
Or maybe it's just the TV show doesn't have the rights. The movie had, though. I don't know. I'm not an expert.
Maybe so, yeah. Yep, absolutely. The Silmarillion is great. And actually, speaking of the Silmarillion, even though I own a copy of it, I am going to purchase J.R.R. Tolkien's illustrated version of the Silmarillion when it comes out in October.
Very good.
Yeah, because I did that with the Lord of the Rings. Even though I own an illustrated set of the Lord of the Rings, I went ahead and purchased the newest Lord of the Rings that they released with J.R.R. Tolkien's illustrations in it.
Oh, that paper bag.
Yeah, the
Oh,
one with
I
the sprayed red
oh
edges and
oh that one.
everything.
Yeah, I got
Oh,
that one
it
too.
is so gorgeous, and I just had to have it. And now they're releasing one for the Silmarillion as
Oh,
well.
okay.
And then if they release one for the Hobbit, I will probably have to get that as well because I'm a huge Tolkien nut. I
Yeah,
love Tolkien. I really do.
I like certain things of it. Bilbo is, and that's was going to be for me the first time I read The Hobbit. I'm not a huge fan of Bilbo in Lord of the Rings, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
But I got the paperback that they came out with last year, the year before, like a 3 cent paperback in a
Oh yeah.
slipcase.
Yeah.
Those illustrations on the front of those are also gorgeous.
Yeah, definitely. So I have the one set, and actually my copy of the Silmarillion matches my set of the Lord of the Rings. It has all the illustrations by Alan Lee in it.
Hmm.
And then I do have an illustrated version of The Hobbit, but it's not part of that set.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I'm a Tolkien collector, really. I love Tolkien, so I will probably buy it if it comes out. Being reserved is fine. It's the people who hate it already that I don't
Yeah.
understand. Yeah, same here. There was a lot of that for Sandman too. Like there were naysayers right from the beginning. It's like why are you hating
That
on
and
this
that
series
looks
without?
so amazing. Like the
Yeah,
costumes and everything that they've done in that what I've seen in the trailers. Oh, gorgeous.
yeah. Worst thing about being blind is not being able to get the illustrated versions. Yeah, I can understand how awful that must be not to be able to do the illustrations, Mason. I want it to. The Silmarillion's one of my favorite books ever. Cool. Yeah, it is a fantastic book. So I think the thing that it shouldn't have shocked me, I guess, but I would think in the 21st century that the majority of people have moved beyond petty racism and stuff like that. But there were so many fans that were just, uh, criticizing Neil Gaiman for casting black actors in roles that were white in the graphic novels, and um, I just don't get it.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't see why that should be that big of a deal. It shouldn't be, but why it is, I just don't get. So
well, any of it, like not just towards that, but any
yeah,
of it is.
yeah, any of it. And the funniest one for me, and this was a reply that Neil Gaiman gave to one of his to one of the people who commented. Somebody had commented about the fact that they were upset that he cast a non-binary actor to play Desire.
Mm-hmm.
And Neil was so funny. He's like, well, actually, Desire has always been non-binary. Even in the comics, Desire is non-binary. So
Yeah.
where's your argument again?
Just because you don't like it doesn't mean I can do it or I can't
Right.
do it. Yeah.
Better make sure you know the source material before you make a comment like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, funny. Well, Chaz, that's because the representation is simply boxed. Yeah, they're all. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we talked about that in our first when we talked with Philip and Ursi and Joanna about generally diversity in books and whatnot. We had that topic, simply box ticking and
Yeah.
how many companies do that and how many people utilize that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, there is a lot of box ticking that goes on, and even though on the one hand it's good to get diversity in the cast,
Oh, yeah.
it's unfortunate because they're doing it for the wrong reasons, just so that they can tick that box. But from everything I've seen for the Sandman, it was very much not about that with
because he's
Neil Gaiman.
because he's not that type, right? He's
No.
not at all like that. Yeah.
I'm very excited. I'm really hoping it gets a season 2. From what I've heard from Neil Gaiman, it sounds like the numbers are looking good. But I'm really excited to. I really hope that they put Wanda, that they do the story involving Wanda. Wanda is a trans person in the graphic novel series, and she is just an absolutely lovable character. And I love the way that Neil Gaiman treated her character in the story, and I really hope that they will do that story. I think they will, but I really hope that they will do that story in the TV series.
Yeah.
Because
as I said, like there's so many reasons why I'm looking forward to finally start reading Sandman. I'm planning on doing the first one at least in October. So hopefully that works out. There's not too much else that comes in between. But
I hope I didn't give you a spoiler with that, but
no, all good. Like,
yeah.
First of all, within 1.5 months, I'll have forgotten it by then.
Right. I'm the same way. Oh, yeah, spoiler! You told me a spoiler. When was that? A month ago? Yeah, no.
We talked a month ago. Wait, what? I never talked to you, CHAS. What?
Right, exactly. Yeah, who are you again?
Gaiman is just generally an amazing author because he is so. Like he does a lot of things the way it should be. I'm expressing that wrong, but when it comes to diversity, what I always say, it's not diversity that you should be looking for; it's inclusion you should be looking for.
Exactly.
And he fully understands that, and he does it naturally because he is just that type of human who does those things naturally in all of his books. I mean, the way he treats any type of character is with so much care, and you can see that on the paper. And it's just, he's just an incredible author in that regards.
Yeah, I think so too. Absolutely. Scott says, I love the death character in Sandman. Would have loved to see a ton more of her character in the show. Oh, yeah.
That's Brianna Tart, the actor that plays Brianna Tart is Death, right? Oh no, she's
No, she
Lucifer.
plays
Sorry,
Lucifer.
mixing
Yeah.
things up. Never mind.
Yeah. Kirby, I forget the actor's name, but yeah, she's phenomenal. Just everything I would have wished Death to be, she was in the show. Yeah. Yeah. Really, really good. You kind of opened my eyes with that comment. Okay. Yeah. That I think he's referring to your comment about inclusion versus diversity.
Oh,
Uh,
anytime.
yeah. Yeah. So, and that I think that's really good too, to distinguish the two, because
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
That's a work habit that is coming through because I held a bunch of presentations around diversity in the workplace for
Mhm.
managers in my
Oh
old
yeah.
company. And there we talked about, there's an actually, in case you're interested in that, Mason, there's a great article from HBR. I'm blanking on the name right now. So Harvard Business Review on why diversity alone is actually really bad for companies. And why you have to strive for inclusion. And it's explained on basically, I'm not getting too much into it because it's not fun book related, but there's a great article, Harvard Business Review, if you look it up. It's really interesting. And that was the article that opened my eyes in that regards. It's really good.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah, I definitely need to read that article. I would be very fascinated too. And uh, Mason says, I usually get a bit defensive when it comes to diversity as a blind person, but that inclusion comment is very insightful. Thanks.
Yeah, I can
Yeah,
see that. Yeah.
it is very insightful. What do you do again, Fina?
So at that point, I was working at Nuance, which is now a Microsoft company. It's a big AI
Okay.
company that does speech recognition. If you've
Okay.
ever used Dragon Naturally Speaking, that
Yeah.
is Nuance. Like
Okay.
that's their consumer product. They have a lot of other stuff in healthcare and whatnot. But I
Nice.
worked there first in marketing and then in an internal sales support function. But because I was a people manager and I just like diversity or inclusion is a very important topic for me, and
Mm-hmm.
representation in general is a very important topic for me. Because I've lived it as woman in tech. I've lived it my entire life because I've always been in the tech industry. So that's why I did those presentations for managers and for the leadership teams around um, diversity in the workplace. We called it that way on purpose so people sign up, but then we explained diversity on its own is
Right.
actually
Exactly.
negative, because if you just hire people for their whatever skin color or whatever they bring to the table, um, but then force them to do the work like you would do it and think them like you do it, you actually have them be less effective because they have to adjust to your way, so they
Right.
cannot work full capacity. Whereas if you are inclusive, then you let them be themselves and they can be their true selves at work and they bring all their benefits to the work, creating then a
Mhm.
much broader access or much broader pool of knowledge that you can then access. And
That
that's what
is
that,
excellent.
yeah, and that's what that HBR article describes, where I'm just like, brilliant. And it's for me, I was like, the moment where I was reading this, like, yes, that's exactly how it is when you're a woman in tech in a higher position.
Hmm.
They put you there because you're a woman and you have to diversify the tech industry, but no one talks to you and they ignore you what you're saying, right? You just have a seat at the table, but that's it. There's nothing
Right.
associated with it. Whereas if you're allowed to add to the conversation and whatnot, um, yeah, it still really is an issue in a lot of industries. And I'm just
Yeah.
speaking from a female perspective, but not just female, like generally cultural inclusion or even disabilities, right? And I'm
Hmm.
sorry, I hate this word. So Mason, please don't, if that is a word you don't like, I'm sorry, I'm just using it for explanatory purposes. But
Hmm.
like it is a huge struggle still in any industry, and it's a huge topic that people really need to understand, that it's not just slap diversity on the website and we're a diverse company. That doesn't do shit, excuse my language. You really have to work for making sure that people understand what's going on, and how to include people that are different than you, and how to think differently yourself about, okay, am I saying maybe something now that could offend someone from a different culture, or that could offend someone that just thinks differently than yours, a different gender than you, or whatever. It's a really interesting topic.
Yeah, that is a really interesting topic, and yeah, and I love that distinction between inclusion and diversity, and I think that's mind blowing. I had never really thought about it from that perspective, but that's really good. Yeah.
Yeah,
That,
highly
that
recommend.
is
Again,
really good.
again, I'm forgetting, and I don't know where the book is where I got the article from. So otherwise, I would look it up real quick. But Harvard Business Review, they generally have great articles when it comes to inclusion in the workplace and how to be a great manager in that regards, and cultural diversity and all those kind of things. But that particular one, you'll see it. It has a Venn diagram with 3 circles where they say this is diversity, and the 3 circles are you just have a small area that people are using, versus
Yeah.
inclusion is where you use all the circles, the entire area of the circus of the Venn diagram. That's the article I'm talking about.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. Well, I will definitely look it up. Maybe you can send that to me on Discord or something. Send me the link, or
Yeah,
because I love to read it. That sounds right up my alley.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm also happy to give the presentation that I've done a couple of times. No,
Ooh, there you go. Yeah, we've got what, an hour? Is that how long it takes, or no?
Well, I have a lot of exercises where we have
Yeah.
breakouts then, where the managers then go in breakout rooms and discuss certain scenarios. It's like, we don't need
Yeah.
to do that.
Right. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. When we used to do that at my previous company, I was like, oh my gosh, another breakout session. Really?
Yeah. It depends though. Like
Yeah.
for like I did a whole manager training session with the old company, and there are some where I'm like, oh, please let's not do that, because I have no idea what I was going to say to that topic. But it is so interesting to listen to other people's experience and how they would handle that, and then starting to brainstorm on, okay, how would you solve it? Oh, that's super interesting. Well, how about we add this to it? Like that, just that process of going through, and you can only do that in a breakout room, not in a big group of people. I love that.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, that's cool. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. Thank you for sharing all that, because it's a really important topic to me
Oh,
too.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. I have people close to me who are well, obviously who are female, but who are, some are non-binary. I have a lot of close friends and people close to me that represent all different areas of thought and gender, and it's just really important to me to have that inclusion. So yeah, thank you for sharing that.
No problem.
Yeah. I think for the most part, as a society, we've gotten a lot better about that. But there's still so many areas that need to change.
And a lot worse in other areas, right? It's
And a
kind of
lot worse in other
fascinating.
areas.
Like the divide is much bigger now. You have a huge population that is, oh, we're more aware of what's happening and why this is happening,
Mhm.
and things we can do about it, and just the fact that people are not shutting up anymore and talking about it, even simple things. Like, again, that's why I love reading diverse, and why I make an effort to read diverse in various areas, right? Not just culturally diverse, but also gender diverse or ability diverse and all those kind of
Mhm.
things. And then on the other side, you have that other extreme that is happening for a couple of years now, where you're sitting there like, where's this now coming from? Like, this is ridiculous. And you thought we would be done with that now since World War II.
Right.
No, there we are. And yeah, it's kind of interesting terrible, but interesting to observe that just from a neutral perspective, and seeing like how the world sometimes reacts to certain things.
Mhm.
Yeah. And those are then the moments where I'm like, you know what? I should buy a humongous plot of land with a ginormous forest and just a house in the middle of it, self-sustaining, solar panels and all that kind of stuff, and then
Uh-huh.
no people around me. Just no.
Right? Yeah, I get it. So sometimes you feel that way. It's just like, oh, people, no more
Yeah.
people, please, no more. Can't
I have
handle it.
been, in the last 2 years, due to working from home and all that stuff now, I have become, I think I always was an introvert, and I'm just
Yeah.
now realizing it. I cannot deal with people anymore. I cannot sit in a restaurant for long anymore. Like
Yeah.
general noise, I cannot anymore. Like bigger groups of people. Mm-mm.
I'm the same way, and I've kind of always been that way, but now that I work from home, I have a good excuse for it.
I'm way
Yeah.
more productive now too at home.
Hey, oh yeah, totally. Me too. I get a whole lot of cleaning done and just yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big difference. Mason says I'm hoping to one day write a coming of age story about growing up with sight loss. Ooh, I like
Yeah,
that.
I would love to read that.
Yeah, I
Actually,
would love to read it too.
now that I'm thinking about it, I know one book where we deal with a blind person, Black Sun.
Hmm.
Um, but I would really have to think. I know a couple of books where we deal with deaf people.
Okay.
Um, but blind, I would really have to think. So yeah, I think you should really do that, Mason.
That
It
would
would
be
really
good.
add to the fantasy world. I assume you would write fantasy. I don't know. I'm assuming here. I'm sorry.
There's so few blind characters out there for young VIP and blind kids to look up to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally do that.
Yeah.
And and uh and just in case anybody's not aware, VIP, I believe, refers to visually impaired. Is that correct? I think that's what he meant by VIP. I
I
could be
I'd
wrong.
agree with that, but I'm waiting for Mason to confirm.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure, but I'm pretty sure that that's what I took it to mean anyway.
Yeah.
But that because it's on that topic. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, you're absolutely right, Mason. There is not a lot of representation for people with sight issues, and yeah.
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 And even I mean, story, yeah, visually impaired. Okay.
Okay,
So
cool. Thank
story is
you.
one thing, but then also accessibility. So there is
Mhm.
Chad is a guy who he doesn't have his own YouTube channel, but he lurks on a lot of YouTubers' channels and always has great discussions. And he's visually impaired as well. And I talked with him at one point about I forgot which book we were all reading, and he couldn't because there wasn't an audiobook. So he had to get the Kindle, and so he can see but really bad, and he had to make it really big to see that, and he just prefers audiobooks because of that, right? I
Right.
was like, that is like I never thought about it. Like, I mean, I kind of thought about it this way, but he really made me stop on that second. I was like, yeah,
Hmm.
audiobooks are just also an accessibility thing for readers, right, that are visually
Hmm.
impaired or that are blind. And there has to be an easier way to get audiobooks then, because I know it's crazy expensive, especially for self-published authors, to do that. So
Yeah,
coming up with a way of making that more affordable for authors to do that would be great just from an accessibility perspective.
absolutely. I think you're absolutely right, and it can be pretty costly for self-published authors to do audiobooks, but um, yeah, it's definitely something that I think needs to be more mainstream so that more people have access to more books. I know. I know. I don't know if you follow Brian Lee Durfee,
Yep.
but you might have seen his most recent video where he talks about his progressive blindness, that he's progressively losing his sight.
Oh no, I didn't. I saw the last
And
one I saw was a while ago. That's
yeah, he's talking about how he may have to stop writing and stop, reading, and with the exception of audiobooks. And so it's really unfortunate that there's not more accessibility, especially for self-pub books on audio. Yeah, it's getting better though. There are a lot more audiobooks from self-pub authors coming out, but it's a big endeavor. So
yeah, and it's an investment. Yeah,
The Broken Kingdom by N.K. Jemisin. Okay.
that's good to
I
know. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, I have not read that series yet, but
And that's the
she's
one I'm most interested about by her, just because of the covers. It's
yeah.
she has a
Oh,
great.
they're awesome
The
covers.
story
Yeah,
sounds great too. Yeah.
it does. And I love the Broken Earth trilogy, so I plan to read everything by N.K. Jemisin because she's just phenomenal. So,
Yes,
but
Black Sun is Fantasy by
yeah,
Rebecca Roanhorse. Yeah. Hmm.
Blurry is going to be more of a contemporary. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I
I
I
also read
definitely want to
contemporary.
read it. Yeah, I
Yep.
read some contemporary too, so absolutely.
Yeah.
That's why I narrate any of my writing myself. I want everyone to be able to access it. Yeah, that's awesome, Mason. I'm glad you
Yeah.
do that. I
But you
wanted
have a
to,
good voice, Mason. You know, some
yes,
you don't want to listen to for too long. Like the
yep.
Game of Thrones, A Song of Ice and Fire narrator, I don't want to listen to that guy for too long. So, you know, you have a good
Yeah,
voice.
I'll tell you
Please
what.
continue.
I think you read the Warlord Chronicles by Bernard Cornwell, right, Fina?
No, I haven't.
Okay,
Not yet.
so I highly recommend doing those on audio. Jonathan Keeble is a brilliant narrator,
Okay.
absolutely amazing. I really love those audiobooks. He's so great. But yeah, you have to have a good narrator voice for it. I think you're absolutely right. And I've been slowly recording uh the audio for Talendor's guest, like very slowly, but I only did it because somebody requested it from me, but I don't think I have a good narrator voice.
I would have to hear
So
it. It's very
yeah,
different. I think narrator voice is different than your regular voice.
it is. Yeah, much
So
different.
yeah,
So
I mean, you have the right tonage to be pleasant, so you can listen to it, right? Like if
mhm,
I, if I just listen to you, that could work. But it depends on what it sounds like when you read, and
right.
that's hard to say with just listening to someone. Like I know I'm terrible. I can talk like this, but
Mhm,
if I have to read something, I sound like I'm reading something, and that's
mhm,
I don't want that. So
right.
yeah, I would make a terrible narrator. But yeah.
Well, maybe one of these days I'll put up a playlist of Talendor's guest on my channel. We'll see
Yes.
how that goes.
Yes.
But eventually, I have to get to recording it, and I'm way overdue. I promised these guys months ago, probably a year ago now, that I would do it, and it was Carl and Pete from Geek on My Sleeve. I don't know if you watch their channel, but
No, I don't, but I know I've heard the channel.
yeah, they're awesome, and they requested that I do it. I'm like, okay, yeah, I can do that because they do mostly audio because they just don't have a lot of time to sit down and read physical books. So they're like, yeah, if you make an audio, I'll definitely listen to it. I'm like, okay. So yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, well, we have hit the 2 hour mark.
Jesus.
I know, right? And I don't want to keep you too late. I do try to keep these to around 2 hours. Sometimes it goes over, but I think, Fina, that you and I could easily just keep going on. And so I think that means that we have to do this again. Um,
Yes.
yeah, absolutely. And um, eventually I'm going to start doing uh, CHAS and Friends remixes or reunions or whatever, and have a couple people on at a time or something. So more of a group thing. So
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
but yeah,
Anytime.
I'm so glad that you could come and join me today. This has been really fantastic. I love all the interaction from everybody we had in the comments. This was great, and um, I'm just so excited to for everybody to experience Fina. If you haven't yet, I hope you'll check out her channel. She's just really awesome, and so are so many of you in the comments. And uh, that's why I do these. I love showcasing people and their channels and showcasing my awesome friends. So
You just want to show off, Chaz. Now we know it.
well, yeah,
No.
show others off. Yeah, so I get yeah. So that's true. I mean, me, I could turn the camera off and nobody would be all the wiser. So,
Nah. We love you, Chaz. You are
well, thank you.
amazing. And the
I
reason why we're
appreciate
here
that.
is you, not us. If
Well,
that makes any sense what I'm saying. It has been too long.
yeah, yeah. It's really fun getting to chat with all my friends and just hang out, and not necessarily topic focused, but we end up getting off on lots of different topics. So it's good.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
thanks for inviting me, and I'm super glad that it happened earlier than we were planning. Actually,
I am too. I'm really glad it worked out. And Chadi has been
Tanya?
lurking on both of our channels for a while. So yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, thank you so much, everybody, for joining. Make sure you read more books, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.